And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's move to our next set of conversations. Our next guest this evening has been named one of the top 50 influential Indians by Elite magazine in 2022. In a world where people talk about sustainable energy, growth, and lifestyle, he has been at the forefront of creating an India where renewable energy and sustainability become the norm. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to welcome on stage founder and managing director, TruAlt Bioenergy, and managing director, the MRN Group, Vijay Nirani, in conversation with Sunanda.
Welcome, Vijay. For those of you in the audience who perhaps don't know, Vijay is a very young entrepreneur, far younger than me. That gives away my age, but in terms of experience and the many hats that you wear, is perhaps far more experienced than I know myself for sure, and probably a lot of our young entrepreneurs as well. But you really are exemplifying what we mean when we say young entrepreneurs who are achieving a lot of success in a short span of time. And that's perhaps true to some extent, of course, because of the opportunities which have been presented in the past decade. And that's what we're celebrating here tonight. So thank you very much, Vijay. Such a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You've always been super kind to me. And
see, you're giving away my age again. You're continuing to call me ma'am. So, okay, let's start really by talking about the theme that we have for this evening, for this chat, which is sustainability. And talking about sustainability, not just the impact of the environment, but also businesses in the long run and sustainability of these businesses in the long run and creating of these businesses. For someone who has you successfully are overseeing all the work that the MRN group does, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but you are also very passionate about the environment. You've started a business, a very successful business in this space. For someone in the audience today, what would you want to tell them?
At the outset, again, thank you so much for having me. This is super energizing as well as intimidating, right? So we've had so many wonderful achievers here, and I think we had Ritesh talk earlier. I think that person, I mean, he's an exemplary example of how young people can achieve if they have their target set. And I think coming to speak about me is, like you rightly said, so the last few years in our country, I think there's been a lot of good opportunities that we've had. So I come from a very, the industry that I represent, especially the sugar sector, we deal in a lot of farmers, we deal with a lot of labor-oriented work, and it was a not so glamorous industry. So since the last 2 or 3 years, we've had such good policy updates in the country that even, dyeing industries have now turned very glamorous and very, appealing. So what we used to do was just make sugar back in the day, and today sugar industries have all become, they're bioparks today.
Sure.
So where we are creating, so when we speak of sustainability, it is not just about ecology or anything, right? It's about the whole ecosystem of what you are doing. It has to be, it's sustainable. It has to have a lot of impacts going forward. So what we are trying to do when we say of how sustainable we are is we take one product called sugarcane and we produce close to 16 products today. So ranging from ethanol, ranging from sugar, cogeneration power, that bio-CNG, then there is hydrogen when hydrogen comes into effect, then there is isobutanol, which is a good fuel for, so these are all sustainable energies that we are doing. So there is a lot of good policy benefit for us to be, where we are today. So yeah, I think that is where.
Okay, so for those of you perhaps who may want a slightly more detailed introduction to Vijay, let me take a step back and really say that he's someone who's leading the MRN group, and it's a behemoth which is in many, many different industries, and primarily, of course, we are talking about sugar. But Vijay himself has taken that business and has said, I'm going to take that one step forward with a business that's focused in the clean energy space, which is TruAlt Energy. I've had the chance to interview Vijay previously. He's got very ambitious plans, and I'm going to ask you on some of those plans for TruAlt Energy in just a moment. But let me come back really to the sugar space, and that's really where you've had your beginnings and where you've really learned, and talk about the fact that now the central government as well, and that's also coming from leaders like yourself in the sugar space, saying that it's not just the sugar industry, but these are really factories of energy and mass energy, and that's how these should be looked at. Really talk to us about that.
Thank you so much for a brief background. So just so that a lot of people, I mean, many of you wouldn't know me, so we're not from, like I said, a very flashy sector. But I must thank ET Neo and the Times Network, because you people have recognized the rural-most companies like us, and you're trying to bring us out in the front to showcase to the world where even, the rural-most of economies can be created. I mean, they can be multifold increased, and it can still be very alluring and appealing at the same time. So I must say kudos to that for bringing out talents like, maybe the companies like us to the forefront. Just for most of the people that may not know us yet, is we belong to an agro-based industry, sugarcane being the primary product, like I said earlier. And earlier it was just about producing sugar and cogeneration power. Now with the policy benefits that the government of India has brought in, and the world is looking at green energy and sustainable energy, because crude is almost depleting. And we are all aware of how ecological impact, economical impact is one thing where world has already spoken about it. There are many sectors, be it fintech, be it education, be it other manufacturing sectors, right? Now the most important sector or to boost the area is ecological impact of how we increase value there. So from the sector that we come from is, like I said, so ethanol has been one of the biggest game changers for us. Like you rightly mentioned earlier, we used to be sweeteners. Now we are bioenergy parks. We are no more just a sugar mill. So we are bioenergy parks where taking in multiple of these byproducts that sugarcane gives, we produce a lot of these products that I just spoke of, ranging from a lot of these. So currently, TruAlt Bioenergy, if I speak more about it, is going to be Asia's largest ethanol manufacturing company with a capacity of close to 2,000 KLPD of ethanol. And we will have we'll be contributing close to 7% of the country's total production from this ethanol supply year
I think
onwards.
that needs a round of applause for sure. Congratulations. Sure.
So other than the first generation ethanol, so the TruAlt Bioenergy is also going to be one of the first companies in the country where privately held company is going to set up 2G ethanol. So we are having strategic tie-ups with industry leaders who have already set up 2G ethanol plants overseas. We are tying up and setting up in north of Karnataka. So other than 2G ethanol, we are also doing isobutanol. Isobutanol is again a very interesting liquid that comes out of molasses, which is a byproduct of sugarcane. Isobutanol is one of the largest raw material that goes into making sustainable aviation fuel. So who knew that a farmer sitting in Bagalkot or Mudhol, where I come from, could actually, fuel an aircraft that we are taking from here to Los Angeles or here to France. So that is the kind of sustainable vision that the country is moving towards, the direction that we are all headed to. So where we are now is simple, a farmer who didn't even know what was the capacity that he had through sugarcane. We are unleashing all of that. And for me, definition of sustainability comes in when we try to capitalize on each and every product that we can derive from any product. So, yeah.
Sure. So the theme that we're working with for this 10th edition of the Leaders of Tomorrow Awards is empowering and enabling entrepreneurs for the next decade. Now, as a young entrepreneur, and just going back to my earlier question as well, as a young entrepreneur and a young leader, you're representing a sector which is of the future. Everyone says green energy, looking at clean energy, of course. What's your message for our audience which is here today and who's going to be watching later about, one, just your learnings as someone who's so young and starting out this business of yours, but also about the sector and the learnings that you've had and your advice for them?
Absolutely. Like Ritesh said, I think just to share the learnings that we have is, I was really lucky to have had this opportunity to lead a company at a very young age. I think I joined 5 years back when I was about 23. And that is when I think there was a lot of trust that the family gave and the company let us, drive the company. So the little learnings that I have had is, the appetite to take risks. That's what I think Ritesh earlier said, is when he quit college and then started to do something that he was passionate about. That's what matters. So if you know that you're not, failure is not an option, that is when you keep moving ahead. So that was what happened to us also. So the first ethanol plant that we set up back in 2012, the price of ethanol was 27 rupees. And there was no clear policy for us to, nobody was there to take the ethanol also. So in the last 10 years, from 2012 to 2022, the price of ethanol today is 65 rupees. And the world is literally cribbing for ethanol. If you look at Europe, entire Europe, post, of course, the unfortunate
Ukraine
war
crisis,
that has happened, there is so much of crisis that people literally don't have enough energy to warm up their houses in the winter that we are in now. So in stages like these, if we are coming forward to, enhance the availability of energy through multiple of these products, I mean, that is where, that is the learning that I have had. So whatever you are doing, so just be at it and keep moving.
Okay, since you've been speaking about Ritesh a bit, for those of you who are listening, Ritesh did speak about the fact that his family perhaps initially wasn't very excited that he was becoming an entrepreneur. Your father is a famed industrialist himself. Was he hesitant when you said, this is the area that I want to chase after? Did he give you any advice?
No, on the contrary, I think I was super lucky to have a very good, backup. So he was a tremendous, I mean, he's a super industrialist himself. So he was a first-gen industrialist where he started off our entire group from beginning a 500 TCD sugar unit to today being 74,000 TCD, becoming country's second largest sugar manufacturer and Asia's largest ethanol manufacturer. So I think I have had a very strong support system, unlike many of my other counterparts. So for me, option to even take that riskiest of vision or take that plunge, that has always been, my family is always motivated, my company, the group, my colleagues in the organization, everybody has motivated us to take the plunge and, do whatever you think can be achieved. So because, not just me, right? So India today has one of the largest population, as Mr. Anand just mentioned. And out of that large population, majority of them are young crowd. So we are a country which has one of the highest abundance of youth. The benefits of youth is that they have the appetite to take risk. Even if they fail, they have a lot of energy and age to, come back on the horse even if they fall down and then start riding it again. So I think as a country and as me, the support that we have, not just to me, even the country, a lot of people, everybody has this phenomenal support that we can get.
Okay, so that's what your father has said, but I'm going to try and pin you down to any one piece of advice that you want to leave us with as I'm wrapping up this conversation. Given your own experience, what would you want to advise our entrepreneurs?
Maybe not advice per se. I would just say that what has worked for me is, when you start working or whatever you're doing, right? So just keep your head down and keep at it. So I think that is the most important thing, irrespective of whatever you're doing, right? So what I have been told is, even if you're enjoying yourself over a dinner or maybe you're out hiking or whatever you're doing, or be it your board meetings or be it anything, if you are doing something, just keep at it and don't let any distractions come through. I think that is the only learning that I have had. So I think that is what I would share with people.
Fantastic, and thank you so much for that, Vijay, and for joining us here on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Vijay Nirani. Thank you so much.